Hello everyone, my name is Matty and you're listening to No Nerds Were Harmed. This is a podcast about movies, comics, games, and all things nerdy. I am here with my co-host Tyler.
What's up?
We're also here with our producer Sam.
Hello.
Tyler, let everybody know what we got going on for them today.
We are getting into Sam's birthday pick, A Beautiful Mind.
We got nerd news for everybody. We have A Beautiful Mind that we're going to be talking about. We're not going to break it down, but we're going to go through some of our favorite scenes, talk about the movie, and we're going to have our read play watch for everyone and let everybody know what's going on for the next episode. Let's get into our nerd news. Very first thing I have is Matt Reeves came out with Collider. He was telling Collider that he's got a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran about the future of DC, and not just the future of DC. He specifically said that he's meeting to hear their broad plans about their DC universe and his Batverse, which I know that you defer on this, but I want the Batverse to be kept separate. So I was happy when he said that. I know you, and it does. It sucks to see that there could possibly be two Batmen going forward.
Part of me thinks that they're still going to tie all this together, because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to like the business decision of all them like sitting down, and like everyone's personal interests are going to get thrown aside, and it's going to be like, what are we doing for the brand? But either way, like, I'm just happy Matt Reeves is just doing shit. Like, it's just not like, because that's my first piece of nerd news is Matt Reeves and Mattson Tomlin are well into the Batman 2 script. He came out and said that. So like, and that's like when Matt Reeves is actually saying it, it's not just like bullshit. You know what I mean? When they're like, oh, you know, they're working on it. He's like, yeah, me and his writing partner are well into it. Like, fuck yes.
Which is cool, because it kind of seems like James Gunn is, in a way, keeping his distance. Like, hey,
well,
you guys
they
did
were
a good
doing
job.
That shit before he was involved. You know?
Exactly.
So, like,
hey, don't let him do that.
I don't
shit.
think like James Gunn's gonna come and fuck this up either. So it's like, I do think whatever they decide to do, whether they split it or they end up merging it in some aspect, I hope it's for the best of the brand. I hope everyone's just hoping to try to build the brand.
Yeah.
Because if everyone's trying to go after their own like little selfish, James Gunn's really focused on the Justice League bullshit, Matt Reeves is only focused on Batman, that's where we're just going to split right into where we are now. Where, like, we all need to get on the same page, whatever that is. DC, just get on the same fucking page and just do it.
And, like, he did say that word Batverse very separately.
Yep.
However, people, you know, can read into it how they want. He could just be saying, like, you know, I'm meeting with him because he does have a plan to merge all this together, but he's still going to let me do a Batverse. Like, he's going to try to keep Batman as separate as possible.
Which would be
cool.
His Batverse could solely be like, hey, what's your plans to tie in your Penguin show to Batman? Like, that could be the Batverse that they're talking about. Yeah. You know what I mean? It could be something as simple as that as fans, we're totally blowing it out of proportion. But it could be, hey, your Arkham show. What are your ideas with your Arkham? Like, that could be the Batverse they're talking about.
Yeah.
We don't know, and we probably won't know. That's what's crazy. It's like, until they come out, like, with actual, we're doing this, this, and this, and, like, anything Matt Reeves wants to do with Batman and all that, I'm in. So,
yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. Spotify original. So they kind of been doing, like, books on tape and shit like that. Like, not just books on tape, but they did that Batman thing not too long ago with who's M'Baku? What's his name? Sorry, I'm blanking.
Winston Duke?
Yeah, Winston Duke played Bruce Wayne and all that. They're coming out with another one. It's called Harley Quinn and the Joker, Sound Mind. It's Christina Ricci is playing Harley Quinn.
Oh.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Billy Magnuson is Joker, and Justin Hartley is Bruce Wayne, and it drops on January 31st, and it's a Spotify episode. I guess it's a book, but it's not a book. Yeah, they're just episodes, and it sounds like they're reading books, but again, it's not something you're reading along with. It's like a play almost.
It's like Batman the Audio Adventures or some
shit,
something like that.
It's like old school radio. Like, you know what I mean? Like when they used
to,
before TVs, when you'd sit around the radio and listen to like, you know,
like little
Dick Tracy and shit.
Yeah, all that stuff.
That's what it is.
Fucking, that's exactly what it is, but just Batman. But now they're doing a Harley Quinn one. I listened to the Winston Duke one. Oh, it's gonna kill me. It's something by night or gas night light or some shit like that.
Like a Lone Ranger.
Batman Unburied.
Yep,
Batman Unburied.
So I was way off, but yep, that's it. So that's coming January 31st. So sooner than we think. It says, I think right now it's a Spotify original, so I have a feeling it'll be only on Spotify for a little bit.
Fuck yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I'll listen to that for sure. Some casting news recently. I guess they're just casting rumors. Aaron Taylor Johnson took a meeting with, I think it's MGM, talking about possibly being James Bond. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Is Aaron Taylor Johnson British?
I don't know. He might not be British. He's not American.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not American.
Awesome.
I know that. But he plays American.
Can you picture him as James Bond?
Not really. I'm ready for a black James Bond.
I'm ready for it too.
I've been ready for a black James Bond
He is
for a
an
while.
English actor.
Again, I'm not
I'm
not a huge James Bond guy until recent, and like
Yeah.
it's like now I'm just such a big like Daniel Craig James Bond guy. It's like they're gonna really have to move the needle for me to really care about like another white guy James Bond. Like, Like I've been in the camp for a black James Bond for a long time.
Yeah.
Just because I think I don't know, be a new look.
It's ready for a
fresh.
change. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that I'm not a big James Bond fan,
But
by
I am
any
an
means.
Aaron Taylor Johnson fan.
Yeah.
I think he's a fucking
Yeah.
beast of an actor. So it's like if he wants to do it, sure. But
I'll
again,
watch it.
like Homeboy's doing Craven right now. Like survive that, then we can talk about James Bond. You know.
See, I think the only thing that really excited me about, because I can't picture him as James Bond, but the thing that excited me about him is that I was like, oh wow, they're enticing the idea of a younger James Bond, which is
Correct.
cool.
Yeah.
I
I was
really
always
like that.
I'm always kind of stuck in the older James Bond too. As
Okay.
like I think so
Mid-
that
not
is
mid,
what
late,
throws
'cause
me a little bit. Yeah, they're not.
they've always been,
old,
like,
but
40s.
Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
they're men. You know.
Man, okay, got you. The other casting news or casting rumor is that their Marvel is eyeballing Adam Driver to be Reed Richards. I was more on board with with Adam Driver being a Doctor Doom, just because his voice is so menacing and he plays a villain pretty well. But I don't know how I feel about him as a Reed Richards. I honestly do know how I feel about it. I don't like it. Marvel's proved me wrong before, so.
This is the thing. I don't think we're gonna get Adam Driver as Doctor Doom because we got him as essentially Darth Vader of the new Star Wars. So
Yeah.
he's Disney. He's not gonna wanna.
Double villain up.
It's not gonna. I don't think that's gonna play. That being said, Adam Driver could play anything, and I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
So like,
he's taking on
the thought if he
dinosaurs.
couldn't play like in my mind he can kill a Reed Rich. Sure, give him some white sideburns, we're good to go.
Yeah.
You know, like that. It doesn't take much. I think we'll be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll see though. I'm not believing anything about Fantastic Four until there's like concrete Fantastic Four shit. Because every 2 months it's like, oh, big Fantastic Four news,
Yeah.
and then 3 years later there's nothing about it.
We
So
need
it's
to get
just
on.
like-
We need to get in on that and just pick somebody wild and just say, "Oh my God, did anybody hear that this is the new Reed Richards?"
Yeah. Well,
Hopefully-
the internet did that with fucking John Krasinski, and then they
I know.
got him in the goddamn movie that way. So
we need to get this shit, man. We need to get on it.
trailers. So a new trailer that I saw instantly and sent to you, and I know that you watched as well, was Renfield.
Yeah,
This looks fun to me. This looks like a
it looks
fun
so
vampire
interesting.
movie.
Yes. So we talked about this on the episode. So Renfield on the last episode. So Renfield is just Nicholas Hoult, and he plays the familiar or the assistant to Dracula,
Yeah.
and Dracula's played by Nicolas Cage.
And it just looks hilarious. And when I heard about this, I was like, oh, that's going to be funny. That's a cool concept. Good actors. Like, this is going to be
Uh-huh.
good. Then you see the trailer, and they're like, it's like
Modern day.
like, it looks to be pretty violent.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like this is going to be a pretty good movie. Like, I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. I'm very excited for this
Yeah,
movie.
Nicholas Hoult doesn't want to be his fucking
Yeah,
caretaker
he's
anymore.
like
He's trying to get out
the
of
trailer
it.
opens. He's at like an AA meeting,
Yeah.
being like, you know, like a
People who get
an
shit on by their
abusive-
bosses,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
like in an abusive relationships AA
Yeah.
type meeting, and like he's trying to cover that he like is fucking Dracula's whipping boy. And
Yeah.
it looks really funny.
They're like, what would he do if what would your boss do if you did this? And he's like, kill me. And they're like, oh yeah, we feel the same way. They're like, no, literally, he'll kill me. Yeah, it looks funny. I like Nicholas Hoult. It'd be interesting to see Nicolas Cage as Dracula, but I like the style of it. The style
right,
of it looks very
it looks
cool.
good.
Mhm.
It doesn't look cheap. I'm all the way in.
Yeah, Renfield comes out April 14th, 2023, so fairly soon, a couple months from now. The other trailer that came out recently that we talked about on the last episode was the Gran Turismo trailer.
Yeah.
So we were more kind of nervous that we're like, okay, does this video game actually need to be a movie? But it kind of seems like this wasn't quite a trailer. It was like a sneak peek of what they did. And you get to see some footage from the movie, which the footage looks pretty cool in the sense that what they did with Top Gun and getting close up and engaged and with the mechanics of a plane or aircraft, they're kind of doing that with these race cars, and the camera work looks really fucking cool to me. I saw the cameras and they're not filming with IMAX, but I'm like, man, this is a kind of an IMAX movie.
This is the thing. a little bit of me worries that this is going to end up looking like a director's reel for a dude who goes and shoots races on the weekends with GoPros. There's a lot of that shit out there, and I feel like, and I just watching this, and like it looks good, but it feel like this doesn't feel like it's going to make me feel like I'm moving. They're claiming I'm going to feel like I'm moving this way because that's their big thing. But like not one point in the trailer or what they showed me did I get a feeling like I did when I watched Ford vs. Ferrari. Which never once said, hey, I'm going to make you feel like this. But when you're in that car on that thing, I was like, holy shit, we're going
I need to check out Ford vs. Ferrari still.
That's the thing about that's the thing that blew my mind about that movie is I don't think I've ever felt like I was actually moving in a car like I had been when I watched Ford vs. Ferrari.
Okay.
I like actually was like, holy shit, like we're racing.
Yeah.
I'm still stand by like one of the worst video games to make in a movie if you're going to make a movie. I don't know why you would pick this, but we'll see. I mean, there'll be some badass cool cars in it.
Yeah, so that comes out August 11th, 2023. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot more information and a lot more footage.
Yeah, I'm waiting for like an actual trailer. Because this was more like
a promo
interviewing
trailer,
director and shit like that, kind of hyping things up.
Yeah.
So some releases that everyone could look forward to is this week on the 15th. You may have already watched it. The Last of Us came out, and that's getting crazy good reviews. Obviously, we're recording this a little bit earlier, but The Last of Us, if you're listening to this, already came out, and it's getting really good reviews.
Netflix.
You were telling me about
HBO.
You were telling me about.
Yeah, I want to say it was either the like game story director, someone of big credits to all this, gave it like the holy shit. They did it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and like to hear that was like,
That's great
okay,
news.
thank God. Like, so I think this is going to be one of those ones that like people are going to get caught completely by surprise of like who don't know the game. They don't know what they're getting into. That's the whole thing.
Which is good.
They have no idea of the like actual story they're about to fucking get into.
I wonder if they'll reel in anybody to play the game after they watch the show as well. That'd be
because
good for them. Good for them.
The Last of Us Part 2 just came out last year.
That's right.
So a lot of people are going to be probably getting into that because they're going to be like, oh.
Yeah, but that showed up this week, so check that out on HBO. Another one that's coming out on the 19th is That 90s Show, which I know some people are excited for. Some people are downright not excited for it, but
I'll watch the pilot. I'll watch the first episode.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll go from there.
That's a Netflix release, and that'll be on the 19th. If you guys didn't get to check it out when it came out on digital, on the 24th, you could purchase a copy of Violent Night. Sam and I watched it. You did not watch it yet, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
no.
Very good. I think that even if you were to purchase it in January and watch it in January, still fucking good. You'll enjoy it. It'll be one that you'll be able to tell all your friends and family, like, this upcoming holiday season, get this one. It's fucking awesome. And then on the 27th, the new Jonah Hill movie with Eddie Murphy, You People, comes out. And they had a full trailer for this one come out recently, and it looks funny. It looks like a good...
Jonah Hill doesn't pick bad movies really at this point.
No,
so,
yeah,
like,
you said
again,
that.
like, he's... Even though this concept's like, okay, we'll see. Like, I think, like, we're forgetting. Like, we're going to act like Eddie Murphy wasn't the greatest comedic actor of the 80s and 90s.
Dude.
You know, like, we're like, just because the dude's been gone kind of for 10 years, we're going to act like this guy isn't the king. So you're going to put him in a movie with Jonah Hill, who's an Oscar-winning actor. You know what I mean? Like, they have so many pieces of the puzzle where, like, shit's going to be okay. I guarantee you shit is going to be fine. So I'll see it. I'll watch
Fucking Daddy Daycare, dude. You can't just leave Daddy Daycare.
Oh, my God. I love Daddy Daycare.
Dude, the girls love it, too.
I still
so
love
good,
Daddy
man.
Daycare.
So good. But yeah, those are some releases that you could all look forward to. We are going to jump into A Beautiful Mind now. Like Tyler had said earlier, this was Sam's birthday pick. We all got to pick something for our birthday month, and Sam chose one of her favorites, A Beautiful Mind.
Yes.
This movie came out in 2002, so 21 years old now?
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah, I was 10
You
when
can
it came
tell,
out.
dude.
So.
Look at Russell Crowe in it, dude. He looks
Yeah.
like a little
Yeah.
boy.
Yep. This is directed by Ron Howard. That's a big name for
So
some people
good,
who
dude.
don't know him. My favorite movie he's ever made is called Parenthood. I love it with Steve Martin.
He doesn't make bad movies.
Nope.
Not really.
Apollo 13. He also made Grinch.
You don't like Apollo 13?
No.
Oh, I thought you were
No.
naming that as your
No.
I was like, so I'm going to head out.
My last one is my
All right, go ahead. But Grinch, Grinch all time.
Dude, you slayed ass with picking that for your Christmas draft. So I mean, yeah, it's arguably a good one. And then Solo is my
I'll give you Solo. I will give you Solo.
But A Beautiful Mind on Rotten Tomatoes has 74% on the tomato meter. And then it also has a 93% with the audience score. For people who don't know, A Beautiful Mind is a story about John Nash, and this is all a true story as well, a mathematical genius from Princeton University who becomes a professor at MIT. And he's recruited by the Department of Defense with a classified assignment. And that assignment is code-breaking Soviet plots through magazines and newspapers. However, everything changes once Nash believes he's being followed and his family is in danger. This movie was nominated at the Oscars for 8 total
fucking
awards.
dominated.
It won 4 of them. The 4 that it won was Best Director, Actress in a Supporting Role, which went to Jennifer Connelly, writing, and this was for screenplay based on a previous produced or published literature.
Yeah.
So this is based off a book.
Yep.
And Best Picture, which is, in case you didn't know, is a fucking big deal.
Yep. Russell Crowe won the Golden Globe
For Best Actor.
for actor. So like he was like, even though he didn't get the Oscar nom for that, like, or win for this, he was cleaning up in the other. So like this movie was just.
I do have the ones that other ones that they were nominated for and who beat them in this. So original score was up for it, and it lost to Fellowship of the Ring.
And I'm not
banger.
gonna argue with that at all.
Banger, dude. Banger.
Hell yeah.
Makeup. It was up for Best Makeup, which I don't really think that it should have been nominated for it. But
the end of the movie, that's why it gets that nom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of
The age.
they do the whole
difference.
like
But-
his whole life kind of thing.
It lost to Fellowship.
Okay. Banger.
Yeah.
Orcs.
Yep.
You're not-
Banger.
No argument.
It lost for Best Editing to Black Hawk Down. I haven't seen it
That's
in
a
a
good
long
movie.
time,
my
so I'm not
God.
sure.
That movie
That's a
punches
great-
you in the stomach.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
And then lost to actor in a lead role to Denzel for Training Day.
Oh, Denzel's most famous role. So again,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
It was a good
So yes,
year movie.
it was a
Yeah.
very
What are
good
you
year
gonna
for
do?
movies. But on the sense of that, so James Horner did the music for this movie.
It's good. Good soundtrack.
Yes. It was one that I overlooked until Sam. We're watching the movie and Sam goes, "Is this the dude who did Titanic?" And she looked it up. She was like, "She got Titanic vibe." She said, and
there was one piece of one of the scores in particular that I was like, "Ooh, I feel like I'm on the ocean." And I looked it up and I was like, "Yep, he did Titanic."
Yep, it's James Horner. So James Horner did Titanic. He also did the first Avatar. He did Amazing Spider-Man, the one with Andrew Garfield, and he also did Troy, which I love the score.
He does
of
a lot of
Troy.
light music.
Yeah.
He does.
It's got like that light.
Uplifting,
Lift
if you will.
feel.
Yes.
Kind of
Yeah.
sounds too. Like there's a lot of sounds in his
That's
shit.
what I'm
especially
saying.
in
Like,
Troy.
it's very you can tell.
The cast in this movie is fucking outstanding. I'm gonna go through a few of them because some of them I do talk about in
everybody.
my.
They got a big name cast.
Yes, I talk about a lot of them in my scenes. But Russell Crowe plays John Nash, and if you don't know who that is, he's in Gladiator. If you guys have seen Gladiator, another great movie of his.
My favorite.
Ed Harris is in this movie, which is the dude from The Truman Show.
Dude's worked in Hollywood for 50 years. If you don't know who Ed Harris, he's got to be in 150 movies.
For a long time, though, he was that guy for
Yeah.
me. Like, I don't know who that guy's name
Radio.
is.
Radio, I think, is
Yeah,
what
another
put him
one, yeah.
on the map for my age range. I think that is when he was like, oh, he's the coach from Radio. Yeah.
Jennifer Connelly
Also good in this.
plays Alicia Nash. This is probably, in my opinion, I think this is my favorite role she's done.
Requiem for a Dream.
She's from Requiem for a Dream as well.
and the new Maverick.
And then Paul Bettany, who plays Charles, who people know him as Vision from the MCU.
Or the Knight's Tale.
I was
Or
going to
Knight's
say,
Tale,
he
yeah,
is
that
always
is-
the Knight's Tale in my mind.
Yep. But when did you guys see this movie for the first time? What were your first impressions?
I
of
know
this?
I didn't see this until later, like way later, like college type shit.
Okay.
Like this was one I watched like randomly one day, but then I remember watching it and being like, holy shit, this is a good fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like this is a really, really good movie.
Sam, this is your favorite movie. So when's the first time you remember seeing this movie?
I was still at St. Xavier, so it was my first or second year of college, and I was in calculus and statistics and all that fun shit. And honestly, I was just Googling stuff. It had nothing to do with school. It's not like anybody mentioned it to me. I was just looking up statistics because I was a nerd. And I came across, if you like math, you should watch this movie. And I was like, I'm going to. So then I did. I sat down and I watched this movie, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm like, how did I miss this? And then I looked when it came out, and I was like, oh, because I was 10. Of course, I wasn't going to watch this movie when I was 10.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a favorite ever since.
Yeah, so the first time I saw this movie was dating Sam. She was like, "Hey, this is my favorite movie," and
one of them.
Yeah, just went out. Yeah, it's she made me watch it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a fucking great movie."
It's a good movie.
I did like it more this time around, or what? Because this is only the second time that I had watched this movie, and I know that this second time around, I did appreciate it and like it a lot more. I'm sure that at the time that I watched this, it was just like trying to just humoring it to get in Sam's pants or something like that when we first were dating. So
nice. Try handies for days.
Exactly.
Try whatever you could get.
So I know this time around, I was like, I already had that, so I'm gonna watch this movie and really appreciate it.
That's what marriage will do to you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got to say right now about it. I figure we'll talk about some of our favorite scenes.
I got an overall note off the bat.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I mean no disrespect on the man who's won so many rewards, but Russell Crowe used to be so goddamn good.
Okay.
He used to be so good. And it's just lately, like, things he's in, he's just...
I'm not going to lie.
He
I
phones
had
the
that
shit
thought.
in, dude. He phones the shit in. Like, you watch him in, like Zeus from
Yes,
Thor Love and
that's
Thunder.
what I thought of.
Which, again,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
supposed to be, like, parody and funny, but you look at that, and then you watch this, or you watch Gladiator, and you're like, dude is just collecting a paycheck.
I had the same
dude is collecting
thought.
a paycheck because this guy puts so many mannerisms
yeah.
within a 10-minute scene of him being this antisocial weirdo that it's like, this dude can act his fucking ass off.
And then it's like, oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, he did that one movie where he was the cop, which was okay, but it didn't
Nice Guys?
do really well. No, that's actually really funny.
That is, yeah.
But again,
I'm going through some of his list right now.
That one's funny. It was the more serious one where he was in Detroit. He's the crack cop.
Ooh, I probably wouldn't know
I
it.
can't think of what it is.
But let's get on this up.
Like,
So he played Jor-El in the Zack Snyder.
yeah, he was pretty good.
He was pretty good in that.
It was a good job.
He did put out that shit film with Tom Cruise, The Mummy, where he played Jekyll.
Oh
and,
yeah. Can't do
oh
that.
man.
That
I mean,
Yes.
Les Miserables, he was still...
He was good in yes, Les Miserables.
Yeah.
He was good in Noah as well. Not a great movie, but he gave a good performance in that.
It was
And
a
that
good performance.
That was
It was
Darren
just
Aronofsky as well.
a boring film.
But
I
yeah.
stand by what I said.
No, I
The mighty
100%
have
get what you mean. I
fallen.
mean, he also made Unhinged with so I mean, there's some fucking movies. They're not all going to be winners.
No, absolutely not. But like,
yeah,
you watch this one, and
as
you're
of
like,
late,
holy shit.
as of late,
no
yeah.
wonder this guy was like the guy for a time period.
So, yeah, like his peaks are this and Gladiator for sure.
Man, it was right around the same time.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, something that kind of steals, like, yeah, you get introduced into John Nash's character and who he is, and he's at school at Princeton, but the characters that stole the screen for me every time he was on screen was Josh Lucas, who plays his buddy Hanson, because every time I see him, I'm just like, oh, look, it's Sweet Home Alabama. Every time.
Oh,
No
I
matter
agree.
what movie he's in.
I
I'm
know,
like,
and it's like
I
out of
looked
all
at Matt.
movies, it's like a little chick flick type
Yep.
movie. But
Yep.
every time I see him, I think of the same fucking shit.
I
dude.
couldn't tell you what happens in that movie, but I know he's in it, and he had a fucking thick accent, and it was always
I did.
distracting.
I looked at Matty and said, I could kiss you anytime I want.
I like him. I like him a lot.
Absolutely.
He's always
character,
like that guy.
His character in this is really good too. I love his character in this.
Yeah, he's like the asshole, but he's a friend. He's cool.
Adam Goldberg is in this movie. He plays his buddy Saul.
He was coming off that fucking working with Spielberg and everything.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
dude was like the king of the late 90s, early 2000s.
For
He's in everything.
Sprinkled into it all.
He's
For
in everything,
me,
man.
every time I see him, and Lauren will appreciate, is I always see him
sure,
as Eddie
Friends
from Friends.
reference,
Yeah, he's like, well, unbelievable.
I just think of
Yeah.
him as the Jew in Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, yeah,
He's the,
absolutely.
like, Jew
Yes.
soldier.
Yes.
That's who I think of.
So like I said, we get these introductions into all these characters, and this is also where you meet Charles, who's played by Paul Bettany, and he's John Nash's roommate. Yes, he's his roommate. But it's cool. He's a laid back guy who's trying to like.
He's the anti John Nash.
He is.
John Nash wants to study and be there to work, and he's there to party and live life and go out in the world.
Yep.
And so he's kind of trying to get John out of his shell the whole time.
There's a really cool scene in the lounge, which I don't really understand it from the first time, but I know the second time we see this lounge later on is more important.
At like the prestigious colleges and shit, and they have them at like all colleges, but like when you go to a big college like that, obviously it's like they're like fancy lounges that like
The prestigious professors.
yeah, you have like that's where they go. Like
published.
not everyone goes up in there, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's a lounge they'll hang at, but what it is like it's a way of them when they give the pens to the people. It's being recognized by your peers for your work. All the other great minds that are surrounding you
Are
all
acknowledging.
tipping their cap to you, which in a way is a better reward than like if the fucking public's gonna say, "Hey, you get what I'm saying?"
Okay.
That's what the pen ceremony's all about, and
Yes.
that's kind of what the whole point is. When the professor first brings him there, is like, you know, what do you see? And he says greatness, but professor says, how about accomplishments? Because he's trying to get
he
him
says
to actually
recognition.
fucking do something.
Yeah, recognition. That's
Because he's not doing anything. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's still trying to figure out what his whole idea is.
It's a cool scene. The next scene I have is the bar scenes. There's quite a few scenes that happen in the bar, and they're very funny. So he tries to pick up a woman, and he's just straight up with her, like, I just want to exchange fluid with you. Like, let's have sex. And she slaps
yeah, he's
him.
like, cut the bullshit.
Can we
Yeah.
just skip the part where we talk
But
and
again,
go right to where you have
what's
sex?
crazy about him is like, before he goes into the situation, everyone tells him it's going to be a bad idea. He acknowledges it's going to be a bad idea, and he's like, yeah, but you guys don't realize my chances get better every time I try.
yeah, absolutely, yes.
And like after he gets smacked, he kind of like chuckles to himself because he is fully self-aware of like, I am as antisocial as it gets. And even throughout the movie, like when he gets later into with Jennifer Connelly of like explaining like it's a lot of hard work for me to try to sound like a normal social person. Like I expedite information. So that's why he's very, hey, let's fuck.
Yeah.
Like, because
Yeah.
it's a lot of work for him to go through and do all this because he's just that antisocial. So, yeah, he gets the shit slapped out of him, but he's just like, all right, whatever. That didn't
tried.
work out.
Yeah. Maybe
I
next
tried.
time. The next scene in the bar that I really like was the part where he gets his idea. He gets his original
That's one of the
idea.
best scenes in the movie.
Because all these guys, they see these
It's also
women
one of
walk
the coolest
in.
shot scenes in the movie.
It is really cool
They,
the way
break
they
it
shoot
down
it.
like a math problem almost. Like they
Yeah.
start
His
showing you
game
step
theory.
by
Because
step
yeah.
and everything. So cool.
And his theory is just that Sam has a better take on this, I believe. Or
Yeah, well,
you
this
know,
is
you
what
could
this
explain it a
changed
little
the
bit better.
fucking world in real life.
Okay, so I have some sprinkling of this that we can talk about later. That a dominant strategy, if you will, that yes, we could all try to fight for the one main one that we want, but the odds are everybody's going to go home disappointed because she's either going to choose one of us or none of us, versus if she's got 4 friends with her and we all go for the 4 friends and we avoid, you know, the hot one, if you will, then more than likely everybody's going to go home happy because all the girls are going to be happy that they're being acknowledged and not their hot friend.
Yeah, it's working in personal interests versus working in group and personal interests.
Yeah, so if they work
It was cool,
together,
yeah.
the outcome will be better than them working
Correct.
alone.
Which again, they're
Like
all
you said, the way it's filmed is cool.
economic things. Like they're all like, "Oh, well, this guy says this, this, and this. This is the facts of economics," and he's basically like, "Yeah, maybe not."
That's
Yes.
what starts his big
Yeah, and then
breakthrough,
and
if
up
you
till
will.
then, like you'd get the scene where like basically the college professor's like, "Yo, you're about to get kicked out of school because you haven't done shit. So
you
like,
haven't written a
you've
paper or
done
published a
nothing."
paper and shit
Because
like
he
that,
refuses
yeah.
to go to class and all that shit. So, yeah, that's his first like, okay, I have this idea that I can turn into, and then the teacher's like, oh, yeah, this is actually groundbreaking.
He gets this idea, and they're like, "Yeah, this is the fucking best one we've had all year." Even though
You'll have your pick of jobs, basically.
even though all these other guys are ahead of you and went to class and shit like that, this is better than what they've done and through all this time. So they do give him. He heads off to MIT, but beforehand, there's a really cool scene in the bar again where he toasts to his friends, and it's cool because Hanson, Josh Lucas, you know, Sweet Home Alabama, he's there. And you think, he's kind of gonna resent
Salty.
him
Because he didn't choose to bring him with. That was the
Yeah.
thing. Like, because obviously Hanson's the other smart guy in the room. It's him and John Nash,
Yes.
and they're kind of
Rival, if
enemies,
you
but they're in
will.
the same group kind of
frenemy
thing.
type thing.
And then so like once he's nominated, the teacher's like, hey, take a couple people with you. Who are you gonna recommend? And right away he's like, Hanson, and he's like, nah, and he picks like the other guys in the group.
Yeah.
So he kind of fucked Hanson in a way of like taking him with him. But
Yeah.
again, Hanson didn't really deserve it because he's kind of an asshole the whole time to John.
Yeah.
But yeah, then
and at
Hanson.
the same time, it's like he's gonna get his own offer at some point.
Hanson's gonna be fine.
Like,
And
he'll be
so
fine.
yeah, it's that moment of like the record stops when he walks in the bar because you're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? He kind of just like gives John his congratulations and just is like, yeah, good job.
It was a very nice
Yeah,
scene.
just cuts
I
the
loved
tension.
it. It was a
Kinda
good.
like,
They're all like
I
a
was
good
wrong,
group
you
of
did it.
friends. That's the cool. They're like just buddies. Like
The next scene I have is where Nash goes to the Pentagon. He's brought to the Pentagon to look at these big giant wall of numbers on a wall, and they're like, "There's a code in here somewhere." And the score mixed with what's going on in this scene is just so fucking cool.
Well, what's cool too is it's so much just bullshit. It's all it is is
really
fucking,
is. It really is.
It's Ron Howard just like putting up all the numbers, playing the music, and being like, okay, make that number flash. Now make that number flash. Now make that a pattern. And now and it's all just going so quick. And you have Russell Crowe cut in, just like looking at it intently, like he's making sense out of it. And you're like, oh yeah, he's doing geometric patterns with fucking random numbers. And then all of a sudden he stops and he's like 9014. And out of all the numbers, there's just the one. And it's like, sure, dude. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Sure, but it's just Ron Howard being like, we'll put some music in. We'll make some lights flash up. Sure, dude.
Yeah.
Shit's gonna look great.
And it works.
He does see Ed Harris's character. He's watching him from like a balcony somewhere, and he's like, "Who's that?" "Oh, it's Big Brother." And when he leaves, he does get introduced. Ed Harris does introduce himself to him. A really cool scene about this was that he brings up Oppenheimer, and this is something that when I had seen it the first time, I overlooked it. But now we got an Oppenheimer movie coming out, so I was like, "Oh shit, I kind of know that now."
I understand
Read
this
a,
reference.
read a book, dude.
Exactly. I don't read books.
If it's not a comic book, homeboy.
It's not a comic book. I ain't doing it, dude. We do get introduced in between all this to Jennifer Connelly's character, and she asks him out to dinner, and that shit's important because they're building a relationship. But this is the thing that I turned to Sam, and I was like, "Holy shit!" He tells her, "I'll pick you up at 8 p.m. for dinner," and I was like, "Who the fuck is eating dinner at 8 p.m.?"
A lot of normal people going on dates, bro.
I was like, "Holy shit!"
So you guys been in that kid life way too long,
Bro,
my guy.
5 p.m. is dinner, dude.
You guys are crazy.
Well, here. For people who wake up for school, though, like I understand you have a different schedule, so you eat dinner later than we
not
do.
even,
But for
dude.
people who wake up like 7 a.m.,
I never went on a date in college before fucking the sun was down.
Man,
Are you kidding me?
this shit's crazy. I feel so old when I hear this shit,
no
man.
way.
Oh my god! I was like 8 p.m. This fucking,
Yeah. No,
I'm
that's
fucking ready for
normal
bed.
as Fuck, you're the weird grandpa, dude.
But they do go to a gala for this dinner, so I was like, okay, maybe that's an event that they couldn't do.
It's like some big like smart event.
Yeah, and it's nice because he's about to take a picture with somebody, and she fixes his tie.
Yeah,
and
she's
gives him a
clearly
pocket.
like the thing that he needs. Like
She completes him in a
Yeah,
way. She
correct.
gives him a pocket square for the picture, and he looks real nice and
she's
dapper.
into like art and shit. He's into numbers.
We do jump ahead a little bit throughout this, and they have their wedding. My thing about this was the same thing as the dinner thing. Like, why the fuck are they throwing rice? Why was that a thing, man?
I don't know. They stopped because it was like killing birds and
Yeah,
shit.
it was.
So like that was a bad idea.
But I was like,
Yeah, but I mean
Why
that's a
was rice-
perfectly normal thing in the fucking when was it the 60s or 50s whatever the
I
timetable
know
is
my
in that
parents.
movie.
My parents were.
That's what I'm saying.
in
Like
the 92 they were married, and
Correct,
that
and-
fucking rice was there.
exactly. So
I laughed. I'm like, I have rice down my titties and everything. I don't want that.
Yeah,
yeah,
like,
sounds like a terrible idea.
does.
It does. Like I said, people, like, this doesn't pertain to the fucking story at all, but these are just observations I'm making while I'm
Yeah,
watching the movie.
the one thing I caught this time that I didn't catch the first time, which we already passed up, it doesn't matter. When
Okay.
he goes to the CIA, like when Ed Harris's character actually like kind of offers him the job of like sits him down and he's like, "Yo,
Okay.
bro, like now
I
you're
need
top
some code
secret,
breakers,
like
yeah.
you're top secret, you in or you're out kind of thing." And he turns the TV on with a remote,
Yes,
and it's the first
yes.
time that anyone's ever seen a remote. And I never realized that in my life
shit.
because John picks it up and
yeah,
goes,
That's a great idea.
well, that's a great idea. And then the whole time he's talking, he's just staring at this remote and looking at the TV. And I'm like, oh, they're like, this is a joke of like, well, the CIA had remotes before the normal public
Yep.
did because
Man,
why
I didn't even
not?
catch this.
And
Come
they don't
on.
hang on it at all. It's just a
Oh,
real
okay.
quick
It
little
is, but
beat.
it's so the way he looks at it is.
But it's
so
the first
cool.
time I caught it. I was like, "That's a hilarious joke."
Yeah.
Of like, of course, the CIA. We always are like, "Oh, the CIA's got all this tech." Like, even remotes back in the in the
Yeah.
60s, no one had remotes, but the CIA had fucking
did.
remotes, you know?
Yep.
Just
Okay.
and that was the one thing I was like, oh, that's actually hilarious.
Oh man, well,
Totally
when,
missed
when I
that.
watch it again, I'm gonna fucking get that for sure.
So in this movie, they depict him as pretty much like never touching a woman and being that socially awkward. Fun fact, he already had a kid before he met Alicia while he was teaching at it. He had his first son, who was also a John. He just didn't want anything to do with the relationship because he believed her to be of a lower social status than him and beneath him. So he pretty much wrote her off. She was a nurse. And
He seems like he'd be that
dick.
asshole.
he was a dick. He was a bit. There's
Again, you can tell,
Yeah.
we say antisocial, but you can tell, like, what, like, psychopaths have. Where, like, you're so smart and you're so into one thing that, like...
your human emotion
you
is
don't,
so
yeah, I don't know what the
stunted.
psychological
Yes.
term
Yes.
of that is,
Yes.
but it's like, they don't...
They're not that expressive.
Correct,
Yeah.
it doesn't...
Yeah.
Empathy, if you will.
Correct.
They have no
Which is
empathy.
why you can walk up to a girl and be like, hey, you want to fuck? Because I don't want
want
to go
this dick?
through the effort of all this shit, because this is bullshit.
Yep.
So I totally get him being like, yeah, sorry.
So yeah, he was actually kind of a
Crazy,
dick.
though.
This next scene that I'm talking about is Nash is doing this lecture at a college, and it's at a college where Charles is at, and Charles is actually there. Charles is Paul
He asked
Bettany.
him to, at Harvard.
Yeah, so he runs into Paul after years of not seeing him, and Paul basically tells him, like, oh, I'm teaching English at Harvard, and then he ends up at a lecture at Harvard, and Paul Bettany's character Charles shows up and is like, oh,
He's in the
he's
audience.
there
I
with
saw that you were
niece,
on
yeah.
you were on the fucking list for speakers. Like, I
Yeah.
had to come see you.
Yep. At this point, he's been doing.
He's starting to fucking lose it.
Yeah,
He's been doing his
seeing,
Soviet code breaking and shit in his office.
Yeah,
constantly.
he's been seeing dudes in fedoras, and he's getting
yeah.
very paranoid about people following him.
This is before or after the car?
This
chase?
is after.
Okay.
This is after.
So he's like full blown thinks
Full-blown
like
paranoia.
people
Paranoia.
are trying to kill him, and Ed Harris has got him in like the worst situation he could
Yes.
probably be in, and
So-
he wants to tell him like because he like Charles is his best friend, like
Yeah.
so, and he doesn't have many friends. He makes that very clear throughout.
He
the whole
tells him like,
movie.
"Oh, I got something,"
And yeah, and he's
I'm
like,
kind of worried
after
about
He
it.
this-
tries to get out of it too, because he's like, "Oh, Alicia's pregnant now," and Ed Harris's character is pretty much like, "Well, that's not my problem."
No, yeah, but yeah, Charles is very like, yo, what's up? And he's like, all right, after this lecture, we need to have like a talk. Because like, Ed Harris was very like, yo, you tell anyone, we'll kill you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's ready to like kind of just tell someone because he doesn't know what the fuck to do.
He's looking for some guidance. But while he's up on the stage and he's doing this lecture, he sees these dudes come from different aisles wearing fedoras. So the guys he's been trying to avoid. And they're walking closer to him, and you're sitting there saying, there's no way this is real because these fucking guys wouldn't be doing this in the middle of a lecture. And it's fucking real because he's running away from these guys, and they finally catch up to him, and there's a doctor who's like, hey, I'm Dr. So-and-so, and he gives a sedative to John.
He introduces himself as a psychiatrist first, and then
Yes.
he gives,
He wakes up, and it's kind of revealed, he's in this...
He's in a fucking mental institute.
Yeah.
He's in a mental institute, and it's kind of it's the Shutter Island type reveal where it's like everything you've seen at this
nearly
point.
as good, but
No, absolutely. But it's the Shutter Island reveal in the sense that
Something's up,
some of the things he's seen has not been real, and is your mind what has been real at this point? What the doctor reveals is that Charles and everything with code breaking has all been fake.
all the government bullshit.
Yep.
Is
All the shit that
basically-
he's been paranoid about.
His government project he's been brought on is
Charles's niece and
non-existent.
Parcher.
And Alicia sees him, and she's like,
She
Well-
says something like, "What do you mean? Charles is his oldest friend?" And the doctor says, "Have you ever actually met him?"
yeah. And he
And
goes,
that's-
oh, well, it never lines up at the right time.
And so he breaks all that news, and then the next scene, she goes to
His
his
office.
office, and his friends try to stop him. She's not having it. They go in, and you see like the psychopath room
Yeah.
where like shit's just everywhere.
Yep.
And then she's like, "Was there even a government job?" And their friends are like,
There was always a possibility.
"It's a possibility.
Yeah.
People come in and out, but like like statistically speaking, we're all smart people in the room. I don't think so at all." So now you're like, "Oh, this dude literally has been just doing." He's supposed to be teaching, and he's just been
slowly going fucking nuts.
working on his own project that he is like in his mind convinced like he's working for the government, and we think so too because we've seen him. He gets this little stupid like implant thing to get in this gate of this house to drop his evidence off. That's
In
the
a little
that's
mailbox,
the thing. Is he's supposed to go to this address and drop his finding off there, and then the cool thing like Jennifer shows up there, and it's this house that's been abandoned for like 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, oh,
And all the letters are
man.
stuffed
like,
into
yeah,
the mailbox.
but it's that idea of like every time we've seen this house, it's this fancy gate. They got this technology scanner.
He
all
sees
this,
the cars being
there's
creepy.
people in the
Parcher's
fucking, there's
following
dogs,
it.
there's people in the windows. And like we go and see the gate, and the gate's broken.
It does a cool reveal of like what she sees and spins.
Correct.
And the fucking gate's broken.
You realize like, oh, this house has not been occupied for a
long time.
very long time.
She brings all the letters
Yes.
to John in the hospital, and she's like,
Baby,
look
you're
at all
sick.
these.
Yeah.
There is something wrong with you. You may have denied it up until this point, but here's your letters. They're all fucking old.
Yeah.
There is no Parcher. There is no government. There's no nothing. And John doesn't believe it. Some time passes, but the next scene that I want to talk about...
Because the thing that hits him, I think, in that, your brain, you're sick. Your mind is sick. And that's the thing, is like, this dude's Mr.
Genius boy.
Big dick mind. Now all of a sudden, like, your greatest strength is now the thing that's fucking
Your greatest weakness.
most wrong with you.
Yeah. So one of the next scenes is him, and he's in this facility, and he's getting treated. Insulin coma therapy, which is weird, because I'm like, the fuck are they doing to him? They're just giving him a shot, but he's reacting like he's getting
like
fucking shock therapy, but
almost.
it's an insulin coma
insulin
therapy.
shocks your body.
It goes a year later. John's brain is basically garbage, like because he's on these medications. He's at home. He's at home now.
He's like sedated out of his mind. Like it's what you always see. Like when you
especially in at this point, this was like the first round of psychosis drugs.
He's just like a shell.
Yeah, it depletes you.
He can't get it up. He can't fucking. He can't like stay in concentration of anything. Like he can't. It's just causing him a whole bunch of problems.
His buddy Saul, Adam Goldberg, does come and see him, and they're sitting on a porch, and there's a funny scene because
oh my god,
he goes to sit down, and
he stops him. He's like, "You meet Harvey?"
Yeah,
which is a joke from a play. Oh god, now I'm not gonna think of the play, but there's a dude who's crazy who his best friend is. It's something Harvey. The place is called something Harvey, but it's a giant rabbit that's invisible named Harvey.
Okay.
But and that's what that joke is. That's a very famous play from that time period.
Yeah, Saul looks at him like, "Oh shit," and he goes, "No, I'm just kidding."
Yeah, he's like, "What's the point of being crazy if you can't have some fun?"
Yeah, it's a very good scene. He does at some point start hiding his medications because Jennifer, his wife.
Well, after his wife fucking freaks out because he can't get it up.
She wants to get the dick and he can't give it to her.
Yeah, and so like she freaks out, so you can tell he can't sleep. He's like, so he's just like, fuck it, dude, I'm going off the meds.
Yeah.
But then that just leads to nowhere. It's like
to nothing.
It's like the first scene we see of him hiding meds. It's the first scene also like we're back in the illusions.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He looks at a newspaper.
We're right there.
He looks at a newspaper
and all of a sudden
thinks
there's
he's
dudes running outside.
Yeah,
like
right
army
away.
guys. It's like,
dude, the moment you see
God,
the shed,
dude.
you're like,
yeah, dude.
Oh, we'll get to that. But yeah, he's hiding his medications. He ends up seeing Parcher. Parcher comes back and she's like, "Hey, the
Time
bomb."
to go back to work.
He's like, "The bomb is ready, and we need your help to figure out where the fuck
I'm
it's at."
sorry it's had to be like this.
Yeah. A few scenes later, Alicia's like, "Hey, I'm gonna put the baby," and he goes, "Oh, I got the baby."
Well, because he's like improving. Like since he started working again secretly, he's improving. Because like now, like improving with
because his mood is better.
Correct. Because he feels like
happier.
he's back to it. Because his whole thing is like this guy just likes to work. He's so smart. Like us,
needs
we're
a
like, oh, we don't
purpose.
want to do homework. Like the dude lives to do homework.
Yeah,
so
he needs a purpose. In
now
life.
that he has fucking work and everything again, like he's starting to. So Jennifer's like, oh, maybe he's making
Balance out a little
fucking
bit.
progress finally. We're finally getting through this. Little does she know, like, dude's just off his meds, fucking back in the deep end. But
And
he says
she's
gonna-
about to find out because
Oh,
he
yeah.
takes the baby and he's like, "Oh, I'll get the baby ready for bath or whatever."
Yeah, she's gonna do, like, the
It's gonna
laundry.
start raining, so she's like, "I gotta go get the stuff off the clothesline outside." So she gets the stuff off the clothesline outside, and she hears this radio, and it's in the shed. So she walks to the shed, and when she gets to the shed, it is a fucking
It's like The Office.
crazy
it's
reveal.
It's just like,
man.
oh, fucking
You know what it makes
There
me
it
think of?
is.
Do you know the meme of Charlie Day?
Charlie Day.
Where he's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, that's what it
Yeah.
is, just everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is just newspapers
Yeah.
lining
It's exactly
the
what
entire
she's found
wall.
before.
Yes.
but
There is
even worse.
strings going from one page to the other across the room. There's a radio playing. It is fucking bad. And she realizes it, so she runs into the house. And when she runs into the house, she sees that
She can hear
her
the baby
the baby's crying, and the baby's in the tub filling with water. And John is like, "Oh, Charles is watching her. Don't
Yeah,
worry."
well, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Charles has
talking
got him.
as he's like doing something in the bed. He's like, Charles, make sure you turn the water off or whatever at this, whatever. So he's like physically talking, and then she runs up and she's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Charles in there, no worries. And he's just like checked out. He's just like, a different, not person, but like
he's in his
he's, like,
mind.
correct.
He's
He's
in his
seeing
mind. Yes.
completely different things.
His illness.
So
took him.
Alicia freaks out, and obviously, because you would,
She calls the
goes.
doctor.
She
Calls-
calls the
she calls the
doctor, and when
doctor.
she's calling the doctor, he goes downstairs and he sees Parcher, who's got a gun to her head, and he goes to push Parcher, but obviously Parcher isn't there, so he ends up accidentally pushing
her.
Alicia, and she just thinks he's
Getting
trying
violent,
to
yeah.
Yeah, she does the
her.
wife thing of like, don't fucking touch me.
Yeah, she takes the baby, puts the
Yep.
baby in the front seat of the car, and
Yep.
leaves for her mom's. Which
Yeah.
another part,
another
I was
wild
like, oh my
moment.
god! I'm
Yeah.
like, this happened in this time. They
Yeah.
fucking just put babies in the front seat
Yeah.
of cars.
The fuck out of here.
It's like she put the baby into her fucking luggage and then put the luggage
Yeah.
in
On the front
seat of the
seat
car.
was like, that'll do.
Fuck it.
Yeah, all right.
well, her crazy husband's seeing
Yes.
people,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I mean that's not far off.
You gotta do what you gotta
yeah,
do.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
You
a
gotta
not
get
a
out
good
of there.
situation.
Yes.
They do come back at some point, and John assures her, he's like, I got to rap on this because
Well, he's sitting.
Marcy-
He's sitting in the room, and he's seeing like the people. You see him have the like eye in his eyes, be like he makes a connection. You realize
Yeah.
as an audience member, like, oh, he just figured he just cracked his own code to his psychosis in a way.
because the doctor wants to treat him, and he's like, no, I don't.
Correct.
She goes, I'm smart. I could do this. But
That's when he looks at Alicia and realizes she don't.
Correct, because he sees the little
The
girl,
niece.
the niece that he's seen
Yes.
so many years now, and she's the same fucking age,
what
and
he
he doesn't
says.
say anything yet, and he's just looking, and you see it in his eyes, and you're like, yes, dude, you figured it out. Like, yeah, because we all know these people are fake, dude.
Yep.
And then he like does the dramatic, stops her in the street, like pouring rain, and he's
Yeah.
like, she doesn't age,
yeah.
and that's all he's saying, and it's like, yes. We're making progress. We're making progress, John.
listen to the woman, John.
Yeah. That's funny. Dude. That's a funny one.
So he
Everybody's
fucking-
gonna now Google listen
That's
to the woman.
hilarious.
Look it up, guys.
Look
Listen
it
to the
up.
woman, John. Whitest kids you know.
Yeah.
But Alicia does stick around, and it's really nice. It's really nice. Sam does have a nice fact about this as well.
I do. So here's a sprinkling of fact and fiction for two different aspects of this relationship. The first one regarding John's hallucinations and when they started, he actually didn't even start having hallucinations until he was 31, shortly, actually while Alicia was pregnant with their son. So all that shit beforehand,
So Charles being the roommate.
the roommate and all that stuff, he didn't have it yet. It
Yeah.
didn't start until Alicia was pregnant. Another thing they do not show is that they actually got divorced for a period of time.
I would not doubt that at all.
because,
Yeah.
because he obviously blamed her multiple times for committing him into the asylums and obviously the stress of having a baby. So they were divorced for a very long time. Eventually they did remarry in 2001, but they kind of leave that out of this movie.
Well, yeah, because the movie plays so much better how it does
Of
now.
course. Oh,
Yes,
it
it
totally
does.
does.
Because like the like when they have that conversation when she's like trying to get him committed, like they have the doctor over and they're like, "Yo, you got a fucking problem. You got to go back." And he's like, "I don't know about that. Like, I really don't want to do this shit." That's a really cool moment.
It
of,
was.
like, her like saying, "All right, if I leave, he's already saying I can have the commitment papers. I can have you committed." And he's kind of like, "Well, I'm hoping you won't because you're my wife, but I do think you should leave because like I am kind of dangerous." And then she comes back in. She's like, "Well, the doctor said if you try to kill me, I should give him a call." And it's like another one of those lines.
No,
where it's
that's
like,
one aspect.
That's fucking hilarious.
Is
dude.
it is, but it's an interesting aspect knowing that they were divorced because it is true that he still stayed living with her. They were only separated for a couple years, and then she pretty much stayed as his caretaker. Like they had separate living quarters, if you will, but she still was like the normal wife, if you will, for this guy.
But Alicia does stick around. She beats it out with him, and he decides to try to go about life normally. His son,
They're gonna try to like self-diagnose. They're gonna self-fix their problems.
he's got one of the greatest minds in the world.
Correct.
He figures he's got to be able to
that's what's cool.
overcome
He's like,
this on
I'm
his
so
own.
smart. I just have to figure out my brain. If I
But
can
it-
figure
yeah.
out, as he says, it's a problem, and I solve problems.
Yep.
So like, I just have to figure out the solution. It's like, all right, John.
So like his son goes to school and his Alicia goes to work and John goes to Princeton. Yeah. He goes and sees Hanson. Hanson's now like a board of director type
Yeah, he's like the
thing.
big dude at Princeton.
And he's like, "Hey man, I just want to hang out. Are you cool with that?" And he goes, "Are you still seeing hallucinations?" And he looks over and he still sees
Yeah, well,
He still
yeah,
sees Charles and everybody.
What's his face? Paul Bettany breaks in and he's like, "You got to tell him you're a genius. You got to tell him all this shit." And he like yells at him and flips the paper at him. And
Yeah,
that's when
Hanson.
Hanson's like sitting there looking like, "Oh no, he's got the episode still." And John catches himself and he's just like, "Can we pretend that you just never saw that?" And he's
Any
like,
chance you
"What
can ignore that?"
are friends for?" And that's when you get that moment of like,
Yeah.
and John's like, "Oh,
That's
we're
so
friends," and
sweet.
he's like, "Yeah, dude, of course we're friends." And that's when John finally is like, "Well, me and the wife been talking, and we think if I got out of the house a little bit,
It would be good for me.
might be good.
Yeah.
I love it here. I know you. If we can keep all these familiarities around, like this may
Could
be the
help.
way that helps all of us."
Yeah.
And then there's like a long pause, and he's kind of the douche, so you're like, "Oh, here we go," because he says you still see hallucinations. He's like, "Yeah, dude." Then he like gives him the classic, like, "Well, do you need an office?" And it's like, all right, there we go, Hanson. There
Yeah.
you go, Hanson.
That's my boy.
Yep.
He does get picked up from Alicia, and Alicia asks him, are you still seeing things? And he's straight up honest with her. He's like, yeah. He goes, but I'm staying ahead of it. I'm keeping with it. He does see Charles at like pretty much every day. It seems like he sees Charles and Marcy and Parcher, and he does acknowledge
He's like
Charles.
ignoring him.
Yeah, he does acknowledge Charles one last time, and he says, "Look, I know you're here, but this is going to be the last time I talk to you."
Yeah, he's like, "You're the best friend I could have ever asked for," but he's like, "I know you guys are fucking fake, so I can't keep.
It's kind of sad. It's
kind
kind of sad. In your head, you're trying to move on to something, and they're not letting you. But it's like, hey, gotta get away from you guys. You guys are making it fucking worse for me. So he does stick around. He goes to the library. He's writing on fucking windows again, like he did when he was a student, trying to just solve equations and come up with new ideas. And a kid recognizes him, one of the students.
Yeah, and
It's
this is
a-
cool because this is after he has like a meltdown in the library.
He does.
And that's the
Yeah.
big thing because like everything, Hanson gives him a job and everything. You're like, all right, cool, we're gonna be all right. And then like the first time you see him, the next scene, Hanson's like talking to this dude, and he's like, doesn't anyone read the goddamn memos? And he's like, dude, he didn't have ID. We didn't know if we should let him in. And fucking John's out front, just like
Smoking and
with a bunch of people surrounding him, and he's just screaming, and you're like, oh no.
Smoking
And then
and
you go out
screaming.
there and you see he's like in a big fight with Ed
Ed Harris, yeah.
Ed Harris and him are like having this big, like, you're fucking nothing versus like
Yes.
I have this you're not real, I'm real kind of bullshit debate, and they have this full blown fight, but it looks like he's just yelling at random
Nothing. Yep.
people. So it's like he looks like a psycho. The cops are there, but then Hanson like grabs him and steps in, and he's like, everyone back the fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
John, we're good, dude. Like, we're good. And that's when he's like, man, maybe I need to go back to the hospital. Like, I'm fucked. And his wife's like, nah, dude, like, we'll figure this out.
I think after that scene is when he acknowledges and tells Charles, like, hey, I'm going to ignore you guys now. Because then he never
Yes.
has any more issues.
Correct. It's because it's before he goes to that. He doesn't have the scene with Charles until he goes and sits in on that lecture.
Yeah.
Because the teacher's like watching him talk to, remember, like stroke the little girl's hair
Yeah.
and there's nothing there. And then he's like, oh, can I just watch your class? And he's like, yeah, you're one of the greatest economic minds of all time. Like, absolutely.
But yeah, this kid sees him, and it's really cool because he does what I think Charles asked him. He's like, oh, when's the last time you ate?
Yeah, yeah.
And he does this to this kid. He's like,
Yeah.
hey, when's the last time you ate? You're obsessed with your work. And he gives him his sandwich.
half of his
And
hand.
he lets him, and he fucking sits down. He just talks about math and equations with him. And
Yeah, because he's
then,
like a fan. He's
yeah.
like, dude, I read all your shit. Like, and then he's like, and I'm working on this, and I'm trying to break the mold like you did. No one believes in me. What do you think? And like, he reads a couple pages, and he's, all right, let's talk a little
It's
bit.
what I imagine anyone in the film industry, when you see one of like your heroes and they're
Yeah.
gonna fucking sit down and talk to you about some of the shit you did, like, and help you out. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But he's bonding with these kids, and Alicia comes to pick him up, and she sees him
Yeah,
sitting
she's
there.
like standing outside, and you can tell like
she's
where
proud.
the fuck
She's like,
is
wow.
John. And then Hanson shows up, and he's like,
You
"You
gotta
gotta
see
come with
this,
me."
yeah.
And
Yeah.
he brings her to the library, and he's got like a group of like 6 kids around there.
At a
He's
table.
making jokes. He's fucking.
Yeah.
He's like, "Why don't you run that again so I can steal it for my dissertation?" Like he's like
Yeah.
being that guy, and everyone, and like and Jennifer Connelly and Hanson are both like so fucking like happy and proud because it's like, oh, there's John.
Yep.
Like John's back.
That's our John.
Yep.
Yeah. John does ask Hanson as they're walking later on. He's like, "Hey, can I get a classroom?" And he's like, "Absolutely." And they get to play They play a game in the beginning of the movie that he loses to, and it's just a nice
Dude,
little.
one of the greatest lines of that movie. The line he gives is so good when he's like, "What are you scared?" He's like, he's terrified, stupefied, whatever of
Petrified.
you. Petrified
Yeah.
of you. And he says it in the beginning, and then he says it at the end, and it's like such a like, oh, great
They
line,
remember-
great fucking
Yeah.
line, dude.
So many
Yep.
full circle things.
They go a little bit more forward into the future, and John has his own class again, and he comes out of the classroom.
You can tell it's cool because it's like the 90s clearly. Like
Yeah.
everyone's in those 90s clothes.
Yep.
It's like so different from what we've seen the whole movie. So it's just like, oh, all right, I remember this era.
It is. So then he's greeted by a guy who's like, hey,
It's a
we're
random old guy
Yep.
outside,
He's
which is
like,
another
"Hey,
great joke.
he goes, we're considering you for the Nobel Prize. And John stops one of his students and he goes, is this guy real?
You
Is
see
this guy
him?"
here? Do you see him? And she's like, yeah. And it is a good funny joke because
And she laughs and goes away, and then he's just like, sorry, I'm very cautious with new people.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, well,
gotta
we
be.
know why, John.
you got to think maybe these hallucinations have taken form of something else
Correct.
and trying to fuck you over
Yep.
again. But yeah, he tells him that you're being considered for the Nobel Prize. So they walk and talk for a little bit, and they go to that teacher's lounge that was from the beginning of the film, and they're having a conversation. And while having the conversation and talking about the prize, these gentlemen and teachers and scholars around the room start placing
What's
their pens in
crazy
front of them.
too about it is the conversation they're having. The guy was sent there by the board of the Nobel
Yes,
Prize because
yes.
they're like screening him basically because like they've heard he is crazy, and then he's like, our award comes with a lot of prestige, and he's fancying it up, and then John's basically like, you want to make sure I'm not going to show up and strip naked and dance wild, like,
Yeah.
Yes, I
and
forgot
he's
about that,
like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm fucking crazy. I still see people, but I ignore them, and I'm on new drugs because science has like progressed, but he's like, but I'm still crazy, and I'm always going to be crazy, so there is always that chance. And as he's saying this, which is kind of sad because you're like, oh man, this sucks. And like the guy's kind of giving him looks like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting him to just be like, yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah.
As he's saying that, everyone in the room starts walking up and they're like, John, Mr. Nash, like, and putting their pens down. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, here we go, man. Like,
Yeah.
yes, this is
Congratulating
all that matters.
him.
Because then the guy sitting there is like, it doesn't fucking matter if he's crazy or not. Like, he's a great mind. He's living with what he has to live with, but like at the same time now he's like at
He's
peace.
overcoming it.
Yeah.
Yep. The next scene we see is in 1994,
Mm-hmm.
and John is up on stage and he's getting the Nobel Prize, and he's giving a speech.
Mm-hmm.
And after he's done giving the speech, he gives a very good speech, which Sam has a little bit more about that. But he finishes the speech and he looks at Alicia, and he still has the pocket square that she folded for him at the gala. He still sees Charles and Marcy and Parcher, and the movie ends. Sam does have some more facts about this that were very interesting, especially considering the Nobel Prize.
Yeah, so the Nobel Prize, he was 66 years old when he got that in 94. And that whole, like, which is my favorite part of this movie, and that speech at the end, all fake. That shit never happened. He never gave a Nobel lecture. He was not even offered to because of his illness. So they cleared him to accept the award.
Yeah, he like won it with somebody.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was shared as
Yeah.
well. It didn't solely go to him. It was split.
And it was for his game theory, which is the shit he did in
So that's
like,
another.
college.
Yeah. So it is not off that scene though. So
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So a lot
yeah.
of people
It's
think
game
it's
theory. It's like the actual thing.
It's about in cooperative game theory, which you can look it up. I have it here if you want me.
Economic
But
shit.
yeah, I can. It's mainly strategy and economic
Correct.
theories. But yeah, it never happened. And I was like, this is one of
you
the
can tell
best
there's a lot of that
speeches
shit
ever.
in this movie. Like there's a lot of that Hollywood
Yes.
flair. But again, that's what makes it fucking
It makes it a better
really
movie.
good.
It makes it a
Yeah.
better story tell,
Correct.
if you will, if you have all that. So the biggest bugaboo that John Nash himself actually has with this whole film is that they depict him returning to medication as science advances. That is false. He was really upset about this because he stopped taking medication in 1970 and never took any again. However, most of the people who he was like, that's a fabrication, that's a lie, why are you saying this, that wasn't my life. But most of the people making this movie, especially in that time of 2002, didn't want the masses
you wanna
to
glorify,
think that
like,
exactly.
yeah, no,
they don't want
yeah,
people to
correct.
think that they can just stop taking
Correct,
their
correct.
medication.
Medication's not for everybody, but at the same time, there are a lot of people that need medication.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you don't want to
and-
glorify. Like,
No,
absolutely.
and the reason
Correct.
John Nash was able to do what he did is he had a very rare form of schizophrenia
Yeah.
on top of having a high IQ.
Yeah.
So most people with schizophrenia only hear voices. The fact that he had hallucinations and voices to see that little girl, that was the one thing of being able to visually see that she didn't age, broke it for him. So he was able to do it without medication. But obviously most people aren't going to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
let's not promote ditching your meds. He actually lived very long after this movie. So the end of this movie is 1994 at 66 years old. He lives for another 20 years. He died at 86.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he was 86. 2015 he died in.
Well, yeah, because at the end of the movie, it's like John still walks to fucking Princeton
every day.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Like, the old man just
his
shuffling
death, too.
around, dude.
He died on the way home from Norway. Like, he got dropped back off in Jersey, and they were taking the car ride taxi home from getting another Abel Prize in Norway. And him and his wife were killed in a car accident on the way
Jesus
home.
Christ,
So
right?
it wasn't even
Nuts.
his illness that killed him.
Yeah,
he just got in
nuts.
a car accident.
It's crazy.
But had a very long, successful life in terms of severe schizophrenia. 86.
I
man.
was trying to do a lot of research to see, like, things. I couldn't find anything that said that he actually, like, his schizophrenic problems linked to him, like, thinking he was working for the government.
I did see some of
I
that.
couldn't find any of that shit
I
anywhere.
saw. Oh God.
Interesting.
And that's where I was like, that, like, everything I saw was like he was a severe schizophrenic and had all these, like, things, but nothing was like
He's a code breaker.
correct.
for the
Like, I
fucking-
couldn't find any of that
So
shit.
the
Huh.
government, I found somewhere, I'll have to go back through because I took some stuff out of my notes because I didn't want it to be so long, but I did find somewhere that no. So in the movie, they show him putting him in that mailbox.
Yeah.
He was actually sending shit to the government, and that's how they found it. That's how Alicia found out, because they contacted back like, why the fuck is this guy John Nash sending us shit to
Yeah,
the
that's
government?
crazy.
Dude, stop pen paling me.
Exactly. So that's kind
Dear,
of how it
dear
started.
M.
That's how it
dude.
started
Fucking
unraveling.
Stan.
Because they were like, why are you sending
It's on
us
a
this
watch
shit?
list. dude.
So he did. It wasn't.
This would be the last
It's
package I
dramatic.
ever send your
Mm-hmm.
ass.
Yeah.
So obviously we did not win Academy Awards. They did, but is there something that you guys would have liked to have seen more in this film, or something different? Because I think I would have liked to have seen a childhood a little bit more, maybe just a little bit. For
No,
being
I
a
don't need that at all.
biographical film, I would have liked to have seen maybe some of that.
My whole thing, my favorite part of the movie, that's the thing that I hate, my favorite part of the movie is the college stuff. So, like, the fact we're out of that within the first, like,
15, 20 minutes.
that's what gets me. Is because,
Okay.
like, I would have liked to see a little. Now,
little
again,
bit more?
he doesn't have more, like, his issues don't really start till after college, so I get it. But, like, the college stuff for me is my favorite John Nash stuff. Like, when he's breaking down all the problems on the table. Like, that's
Yeah.
when you get a lot of
It's
the
cool.
cool,
It's
like,
fun.
math
It's fun,
shit
yeah.
and start seeing, like, how his mind works before you go into, like, oh, he's just a crazy guy. That I would have liked more of the college stuff.
Okay.
I would have liked to see a little bit more of that life turmoil, because like how you said, I agree that the college stuff is the most intriguing, because that's where you get just the beginning of all those mannerisms and stuff, like just some great acting from everybody. But I think that would help the latter of the movie of seeing how much it did fuck his life up, because one of the quotes that he has on hand is like, I would have reached my potential 30 years ago if it wasn't for all this shit. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't have mind seeing him get divorced, having him go in and out of a mental institution several times, all that shit. It's hard to watch, but that's what a biopic is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sam, this is your birthday pick. Why this? What do you think has drawn you to this? Like, what makes you so attached to this movie?
I enjoy movies because maybe it's just because I don't know they're out there or haven't seen enough of them. But in a world where we are finally okay with talking about mental illnesses, whether it's something as, I don't want to say simple, but like, there are things as minor anxiety versus to severe paranoia to schizophrenia. I just like how this movie glorifies it in a way of you can conquer your mind. Whatever troubles you are going through, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter what social status you have, this can happen to anyone. You can find your way to overcome it, whether it's your self-control, whether it's medicine. Some people need medication, and that's okay. Overall, even though it doesn't match his true life story, I like that message that it sends to the general public. I think it's very important, especially in the society that we live in today.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. This is there's also a quote from this movie that was in mine and Sam's wedding.
Yes. This is his great thing that if he was allowed to give a speech, he should have given this speech. So he goes up on stage and he says, "Thank you. I've always believed in numbers and the equations and logics that lead to reason. But after a lifetime of such pursuits, I ask, what truly is logic? Who decides reason? My quest has taken me through the physical, the metaphysical, the delusional, and back. I have made the most important discovery of my career, the most important discovery of my life. It is only in the mysterious equations of love that any logic or reasons can be found. I'm only here tonight because of you. You are the reason I am. You are all my reasons. And it's nice to hear, like, going back to, like, why you like this movie so much. It's like, realistically, in real life, this would be like a super genius brainiac dude who's typically pictured a dick. But at the end of the day, he's like, dude,
That's
love's
also why
what
he
got me
never
through
said this, though. Even if they allowed him, there's zero chance.
No, he
has
would've
the
been, like,
emotional
capacity to do that.
to come up with that. But again, that's a great way.
But I like the notion
That's
of,
what
like,
Hitchcock did. That's what that is. I
love,
guarantee
man.
you that's what Ron Howard was doing a Hitchcock bit. Because that's what Hitchcock did when he finally got his award. He
can see
put
that.
all of it out to his wife, who he was like, hey, I know I was obsessed with Grace Kelly and had all these, like, scandals and all this shit, but, like, without you, none of this happens. And it was like 40 years into the marriage, they hadn't really been, he's the greatest, but hadn't really won. So when he finally got it, he gave it all to his wife. And it was like this big moment.
That's nice.
Yeah.
which most people, you've got that one person there that was there to help you through it all. So that was in our wedding.
Nice.
That's our talk on A Beautiful Mind, everybody. If you have not seen the movie, go check it out because obviously it's
good.
It's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
It's an Oscar movie.
It's a heavy,
It's
it's
a
a heavy
great
topic
movie.
movie. It's probably one that you're like I said. I watched this movie when I first met Sam, so probably 10 years ago. This is one that I could watch maybe every 10 years. It's just a heavy,
Yeah.
it's heavy material.
Yeah.
I did ask both you guys to come up with 3 of your favorite biographical films. I figure we'd all start with our number 3 and work our way up. Which, I mean, I guess in general, mine, I don't have a top 3. These 3 are just like
I will say
in a
that
one
I took
spot.
A Beautiful Mind out of my
Good. I was
top
hoping you
3.
would.
I did.
I was hoping you
'Cause I
would
wa-
because it's kind of,
Yeah.
we
Of
get
course,
it.
I wanna. Yeah, I took
that's
that
good.
out of mine.
Thank
You
you.
didn't want to be when we did fights, and I
Yeah,
picked
and
Warrior.
Maddie's like,
for
oh,
mine.
I like Warrior. No, dude, we did an episode on it.
Right?
I know. I look back and I'm like, fuck me, man. I could have just picked anything else. But yeah, let's go with our number 3.
What's crazy is when I Googled biopic movies, just to like be like, all right, let's run down, because I had my like thoughts, but I was like, I want to see what I'm leaving off. There's so many good ones. There's so many good, like, God damn it.
We did decide to leave out musical ones, anything that had to do with music, because I think we want to. At least I want to cover a musical biopic at some point. I was asked to leave out the musical biographical films.
Which there are a lot.
Yeah,
of.
there were a lot of them. So my number 3 is Men of Honor.
That's mine.
Is it?
Yeah.
Dope.
I mean, in the order, it's right up there, 2, 3. But yeah, that's on my list.
Carl
It's
Brashear.
a movie a lot of people haven't seen either.
Yeah, it's fucking hot
Yep.
movie, dude. Really good. Fucking Cuba
Robert
Gooding
Downey
does a
Jr.
great.
It is good.
Cuba
Robert
Gooding Jr.
De Niro.
Fucking great movie.
Yep.
As a good pick.
Well, since that was
I got one I'll swap out. That's why
Yeah,
I
for
put
sure.
one, because I knew we'd have one.
Dope.
My other one that's tied right up there with it is fucking Moneyball.
Nope, that's one of mine as
All
well.
right, so there you go. Never mind. There you
I
go,
got some
but-
more. Yeah,
Yep.
Moneyball's fucking awesome. Fucking
It's a
Billy
movie I
Bean.
can throw on all the time. Like, I
Yeah.
can watch that movie all the time. Whenever it's on, it's like, all right, I'll watch Moneyball.
Yep.
I don't know what it is about it, but I love
so
it.
fucking good.
It's a great movie.
So since my other top 2 are more serious, I went with Catch Me If You Can for my
Oof,
number 3.
That's on my list.
'Cause
Frank
it's
Abagnale.
That's
it's-
my
it's-
favorite.
Yeah, it's got a touch of fun to it. It's
I think I said that was my favorite Steven Spielberg
That's
movie.
right. I got another one. I'm gonna plug in another one.
It's a good
There's
one.
so many, dude.
I put 3 on the side.
Yeah,
but they're
that's
3
exactly what I have. them
I have
just
some.
in case.
I put
'cause-
some extras on my list just in
Yep.
case.
We all just like we got the same taste.
Hey,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Catch Me If You Can's a fun movie.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go second then before
ahead.
anyone
Go.
steals this.
Get
Go
it.
ahead.
The Fighter.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good one, dude.
It's just the act. It's just Boston scumbaggy people at the best, which
Mm-hmm.
is I love nothing like good old lower
Like the
end
town?
Boston, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. And then it's just Christian Bale being a fucking menace, and Mark Wahlberg's awesome in it.
Oh my god.
Mark Wahlberg is
The
awesome.
whole cast, Amy Adams
That's
in
what
this
I'm saying.
too,
It's
is
just
fucking amazing.
It's a really good movie. It's got funny parts. It's got like fighting, boxing. It's sad.
That's
I
another
love
that's
that
another
movie.
heavy one that
It is
I don't
heavy.
watch it very often, but I know
Very
it's
heavy
a
movie.
fucking fantastic movie. I'd say the one that I watched most out of any of these is Moneyball. Like Moneyball is
I
something
agree.
I could
I would
toss
agree
on
with that
and I
too.
don't get bored with
Yep.
it. Do you have another one, Sam?
I do. I did Hacksaw Ridge with Andrew Garfield.
That's a good one.
I like that one. I like that.
We recently watched that for
We
the first
did,
time.
and the best part about that one is, I think, as true as you could possibly get. I think there might be one difference in that movie to real life, and it's like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah.
My number 1 that I have, well, I guess not number 1, but my top 3 is Social Network.
Great
really,
I knew you were gonna
Great
pick that one,
fucking
so
movie,
I was like, nah, I'm not even gonna.
fucking Mark Zuckerberg, man. Fucking love. Fucking
I agree.
Aaron Sorkin's writing. That's one that I also have rewatched a couple times. There's a lot that I haven't seen though, but I know that some are very, very well
I got my
loved.
top one.
Oh, what's your top one?
My top one is Schindler's List.
Oh, Schindler's List is a great movie.
That's
That-
a movie
that-
that I watched one time and was like, "Yep, got the point of that.
Yes,
Not gonna do
and
that
that's-
again."
that's
We watched
why
it
it's
Yeah,
my
but
number
again,
one.
it's like
Yes.
it's a very,
Yeah.
but yeah, it takes. You can see that movie one time and be like, "Yep, I understand
And
it."
I'm like,
Yep,
that's why that's a
got
number
it.
one biopic, because you're like, dude, you put your point across in one viewing.
Yeah.
Perfect. Gold star.
Oh, there's so many good.
That's another Spielberg too, right?
Yeah.
Fucking piece of shit, just making all these great movies. Son of a bitch.
He's good at finding
him so many
stories,
years
just
to do
like
that
Tyler
movie.
said with Jaws. You know, he finds these
all
stories and he
right.
knows how to do it.
I know one that I'm gonna put since Chemistry in My Cameras took
Go ahead.
easily.
All right, what do we got?
The Founder.
The Founder's a good one, man.
Founder. I
Dude.
love that movie.
Oh, it was great. I watched that fairly
Fantastic
recently as well.
movie.
Michael Keaton's
Yep.
great in
Yep.
it.
My gut reaction, I picked 3 like Leo movies off the bat. I'm like, fuck, dude. Like The Aviator's fucking
Aviator.
fantastic.
I've never seen
I-
Aviator.
Oh, really?
That one
Oh,
is-
dude, that movie's
that
fucking
movie is
wild.
yes, so
That's a lot
good.
like Beautiful Mind, but like more dark.
I've got a few here that I've never seen.
There are some scenes in Aviator that
Oh,
you're
it's
like,
great. Yeah,
like,
it'll stick
like,
with you.
It pisses you off because you're like, again, how the fuck did it take Leo so long to get that out of there?
Wolf of Wall Street's a amazing biopic as well that I like. Again, I don't think it's like he should have won awards for it like everyone did, but like
Another one, still haven't seen it.
that's a fucking great movie. But that's on the other spectrum. That's like as crazy and wild as you can get in a biopic. That's fucking awesome. That's also Scorsese knowing exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, those are some biographical films. We're going to move on to our read, play, watch, and let you guys know what we're reading and playing and watching. My read is a book that just ended, or is a comic that just ended, and this is called Catwoman, Lonely City. So this is Catwoman. Selena Kyle's old, and she's been locked up for a decade now. And she gets out, and when she gets out, the whole Gotham City is just cleaner, it's safer. Harvey Dent is the mayor, and he's got bat cops. Batman is dead, Joker's dead, Nightwing, Commissioner Gordon, and she is out for one more big score. And it's breaking into the Batcave because she has to figure out a word. Batman, before he died, said Orpheus, and she doesn't know what the fuck it means. So throughout this comic, she goes to Poison Ivy, she goes to Killer Croc, Edward Nygma. She needs help getting into the Batcave, and she needs their help. And it is Barbara.
Damn.
But it's a really good read. Like, Selena Kyle's got bad knees, so she can't fucking do things. It's really fucking good, and it's a Black Label DC thing, so it's only 4 comics. You don't need to get anything beforehand or afterwards. This is a single story, 4 comics, but the hardcover just came out, so check out Catwoman Lonely City, everyone.
For my play, a game we've talked quite a bit about on here, Vampire Survivors came out with DLC.
Ooh.
Yeah, they came out with like a couple new levels, 10 other characters. So it's like a big DLC. And again, it's like $1 if you want it.
Yeah.
It's the same bullshit as always, $1. It also, on your phone now, you can get Vampire Survivors on your phone and play. So like, yeah, the DLC just dropped. Again, I haven't played much into it yet. I played the first like level. It's the same game. It's just more fucking content. Like, these guys are just, they're killing it.
I know that it was like I know at the time when I was watching you play it, you were trying to beat out like 10 minutes or 12 minutes. Did you ever get for
yeah, I've
longer?
capped the game. I beat the
did you?
level. Not the game, but like I've made it to when death shows up, which I think is 20 or 30 minutes.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. But it's crazy. Like, I know kids,
Nice.
like my cousin that plays, dude, like he'll get it. Like, he's at the level of like where he can let that bitch run for like minutes and just not moving, and like just until you try to get a death screen. Kids and like are figuring out crazy combinations.
Okay.
And just all it's cool. It's like such a big community game that it's grown into that like people just love.
Yeah.
It's such a simple concept in a way, but it's so complex too.
Yeah.
It's just, they're killing it. And the fact that they still like, their big thing was like, we're sorry, but we have to raise the game $1. And it's like, oh, so instead of $3, it's $4 now. Like, you fucking bastards, you know? And they're like, sorry, we had to hire another team member. It's like,
Yeah.
you guys are okay. Yeah, so they're it's just awesome. They're killing it. And now brand new DLC's out. And it's a chunky DLC pack. It's not just like, hey, here's a new skin like most DLC nowadays. It's like, here's 4 or 5 new levels and 10 other characters.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Cool. Check that out, everybody.
Yeah.
I have a new movie that I watched and something that I rewatched.
I have a new movie I watched as well.
So the new movie I watched is actually an old movie. I watched this for the first time. It's A Few Good Men.
You've never seen A Few?
No.
Did you like it?
I did.
One of the best. I mean, again, it's one of those that everyone's like, "Oh, Jack Nicholson."
Dude.
But it's one of those. Once
I
you
was in
see
that.
it,
Yep.
once you see it, you're like, this is why people talk about
dude.
it.
Yeah.
This is why people talk about this scene, because this scene is bulletproof, dude. When you can't handle the truth. It's a line that everyone knows.
Everyone knows that line.
But when you've seen the entire movie
the
and that
context of it all,
line hits, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Our neighbor across the street, Lauren, she told me weeks ago during Christmas time, she's like, you gotta watch this movie. I'm like, well, it's Christmas time. I'm like, I gotta watch Christmas movies. I was like, I'm telling you, January, I'm gonna watch it. So I watched
his buddy is my favorite part of that movie. His his
right hand man.
Yeah,
kind of
I love him in that
Dude,
movie.
The cast of this movie is so good. The only person that I think this was underutilized, but I think she fell short, was Demi Moore.
Yeah.
I think that she was like a victim of like sexist writing of the 90s.
Yeah,
Like,
correct.
she was a strong
1,000%.
character, and then
Yep.
they just kind of fucking wrote her off a little bit.
Tom Cruise, great in the movie too.
Yeah,
and
he's
that's the
really
thing,
good.
Sometimes I'm a hit or miss on Tom Cruise, but in A Few Good Men, it's like, yeah, he's that fucking cocky lawyer that's kind of like nepotism baby, like,
Yeah.
but he's fucking good at what he does.
He was
like,
very good. Yeah, I highly enjoyed the
and
movie.
one of my favorite stories come from that movie of my Jack Nicholson stories. They say that on set he gave that speech like 1,000,000 times, and he did not at all like ever let off the gas. So usually you'll have a lot of actors, when they change the camera not on you, you'll peel it back a little bit because you're still saying the lines and everything so people can interact with you and shit like your other actors, but like you peel it back because you don't need to be quote unquote wasting all that energy over and over again when they're not catching you on camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of actors will have a stand-in come in and say their lines, and they'll fucking peace out. And that's like what Hugh Jackman's known for, is like he'll stay there and do your scenes. It's a very respectful thing to do, especially once you're big name. And there's a story of one of the guys turned to Jack and was like, "Yo, Jack, we appreciate what you're doing, dude, but like, we got a long day of filming. Like you may want to, like, we're not even on your shit yet. You may want to fucking chill out." And his quote is like, "Are you kidding me? This is the, like, acting. This is the best part of the job. This is the most fun of the job. Like, of course I'm going to go every time that I can." And it's like to think about like him doing that for like 12 hours. It's like, dude,
that scene,
a beast. You're like, you have to, like, that's
Wonderful.
why he is fucking Jack Nicholson, is because it's just insane. Great movie, dude. I can't believe you haven't seen that. I watched The Menu.
Oh, I brought up to Sam. I was like, I bet he's gonna have The Menu or Kaleidoscope. I thought you were gonna have.
Yeah, I haven't got into that yet.
Okay.
I haven't got into that.
How'd you like The Menu? We haven't watched it
a lot.
Okay.
It was pretty much what I expected. Ironically, I think a lot of people were shocked by it. I kind of figured I knew what I was getting into. I just thought, like, again, I can watch Anna Taylor-Joy do anything.
Okay.
I can watch Nicholas Hoult do anything. So, like, to just watch them for a couple hours, like, easy, you know? And, like, all the acting is good. It's very, like, A24-esque. Like, there's a lot of commentary and crazy shit going on and all that, but, like, I fucked with it. I thought it was, like, artsy enough and, like, commenting enough and also, like, a little, like, out there enough where I was like, I get what they're doing, and this is actually pretty fucking cool.
Nice.
So I very much enjoyed it. Again, I think it's a movie that some people are not gonna realize what they're getting into, but I think you'd like it. I think both of you would like it quite a bit.
See, Sam expressed to me today. She was like, "You need to
And
download
it's
that.
easy watch
it,
too. It's not like super long or anything either. It goes by.
I mean,
pretty quickly.
with that cast, they could put out a 3-hour movie.
That's
and
what I'm
watch
saying.
It,
It's very well paced. I enjoyed The Menu quite. I don't think it's gonna go win awards and stuff.
No.
But I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was a good movie, and it's original in a way. Like, you don't see movies like this, Matty. So,
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we're gonna check out. Very soon.
Highly recommend it.
The thing that we rewatched, we did it in less than a week. For parents, this is a big deal. We rewatched the Twilight series.
Oh.
It gets a lot of hate. In reality, the story's not that bad. If they remade these Twilight movies,
Dude, so Robert Pattinson's a fucking good actor.
If they, but so
he helped save this film.
Dude.
That's what I'm
Sure.
saying.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like he's a fucking good actor.
Yeah.
When people are gonna start reckoning like.
and now
that's
Kristen
why
Stewart
he's
is
good.
also like
Correct.
Spencer and shit.
Correct.
Like
Yes, I agree.
they had the
I agree.
potential. Like what the fuck were they doing when they made these movies?
Going
But
crazy, dude.
but no, they
Vampire Baseball's badass as fuck though too. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I'll give him
I like
Vampire
that.
Baseball.
Yep.
But yeah, I really wish that they would remake these movies down the
They
line
will.
and do like with better CGI
It's like remaking
and
Harry
better
Potter, dude.
acting. The problem is that Harry
I
Potter
don't
was
know.
successful
yeah,
though.
Harry Potter
wasn't
much
laughable.
more success.
I
Yeah,
think,
but like think of the cult following that Twilight had. It's huge.
It is, but I don't
It's
know.
huge. Every little Hot Topic emo girl fucking has
Fuck
that
yeah, but
Twilight.
I have
Yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely.
I did that with the books more than not so much the movies.
were you Team Jacob or Team Edward?
Huh? Oh, always team. I don't fuck with werewolves.
Okay, I was a Team Jacob. I like the
No,
tan.
I don't like
I like
that.
the tan.
I was Edward. Give me
And
my pasty
and
boys.
Lautner had a nice. He has a nice smile. He's a contagious smile.
If I could
so-
turn into a vampire, I'd probably consider it.
I would love to live eternally. Yeah, so
Well, I don't
would-
even care about
yeah.
that. I just think it'd be cool to like just run in those circles, dude. Like, always are doing crazy shit.
Yeah, so
I
we,
want to
we
leap over a tree.
Yeah, and like go to like sexy parties and like drink wine and all the lights are just like fucking I see in the dark and shit. Like they're always just balling out doing crazy cool things, dude.
blood rave.
Yeah, they're all like just ripped and just like hanging out. Like they are. They're just vampires.
They're just
live the
gorgeous
life.
people,
That's what I'm
you
saying,
know?
dude. They live the life and just
Yep.
they just do what they need to do. They're all rich because you live forever, so
Yeah.
you have as much time as you want to figure out your finances.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
all
I
about.
fucked that up. Let's retry something else.
Yeah, dude. I am all about the vampire life.
But yeah, we were up till 2:30 in the morning and we were watching the last two, and I was like, "Fuck! I wish they'd remake it. I wish they get better actors and better CGI." But yeah, it's fucking solid shit, man. Like I'd fuck with it again.
I tried showing Lauren Suicide Squad, the original, the first one.
Oof.
Oh,
Because, like, we watched Man of Steel, and she didn't really like Man of Steel, and I knew after that, I was like, well, if you didn't like that, well, it's going to be a long fucking road, because it's pretty
That's
much
as good as it
downhill
gets
from
right
here,
now.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And she really
no
liked
uphill.
it. She just thought, like, it was an hour and a half too long. And on my recent watch, I was like, Man of Steel is pretty fucking long, dude. But
It's the best.
I tried to convince her, because I was like, you know what, I do think you'll like the new Suicide Squad.
yeah.
But I was like, for you to appreciate that, you have to watch the shit of the first one, so you really can appreciate. Because if you just watch the new Suicide Squad, you may be like, "What the fuck?" And like we were probably half hour in, and she just kind of turned to me and was just like, "What the fuck are we watching?" You know? And I was like, "I can't argue with you because I agree. This movie is
You're like, I'm
fucking so bad."
How
dude.
many was this like your second watch since the first time? You
Oh
watched
no,
it?
I Suicide Squad out of the DCEU is my guilty pleasure.
Oh, okay.
I actually I don't like the Suicide Squad at all. I think it's the worst joke of all time and all that. But like, there's parts of that movie I fucking love. Like the intro of Deadshot, one of the coolest intros of a character of all time.
Yeah, when he jumps off that building and shit.
When he's fucking on the phone, he's like, your money, and he's got all the plates set up.
Yeah.
And he's like, your window's closing, double it because you were a dickhead. Like that, awesome.
Yeah.
Best soundtrack of a movie of all time.
Oh, it's a good
Of all
soundtrack.
time.
Yeah, for sure.
And probably the best edited and trailer that we'd ever seen, because it fooled all of America into going
Absolutely.
seeing this thing in
One of the
theaters.
best trailers I've
We
ever
saw
seen,
the
yeah.
trailer and the soundtrack, and
The
everyone
music
was like,
fucking got
bro,
us, yeah.
Queen.
we're
Fuck
in.
yeah, Bohemian
We're
Rhapsody.
in. And then we got to the theater, and it is the most crazy bullshit cut movie of all time.
Yep.
But yeah, we made it like an hour, and then after she's like, I can't fucking do this. Like, what is going on? And then like the fucking bubble people showed up, the
Yeah.
like alien things in the movie, and it was really like, I was like, all right, let's just fucking watch
I've
it
only
now.
seen
I
it
can't do
one
this
time.
anymore.
I only see it the first time I watched it. Was
So
the last
yeah,
time I watched
but
it.
that was, I guess that counts as a rewatch.
That is the
but-
opposite of Schindler's List effect. This was I'm not watching this for a different reason.
Yeah, true.
But that's a good one.
No, it's not.
And that's
But
that was
it's
yeah.
not.
But that was our replay watch. Tyler's gonna let you guys know what's going on in the next episode.
So the next episode is going to be something we haven't done for a little bit. We're going to get back into a fan cast.
Yes, we
We're going to do a fan cast, and we're going to do something that we've kind of hinted at doing a time or two. It's a big one for us. We are going to fan cast our DC/Justice League. Not so much like, hey, we're making this Justice League movie, here's this and this. We're going to fan cast our Justice League members
of who we'd want to see them in the cinema if they're gonna build this universe.
Yep.
If they're gonna give us the 7 characters that will kind of roll out throughout the week
They're
of
hitting that reset button.
who we're doing. If they're gonna hit that reset button like they claim they're doing, we are at least gonna pick our dream cast of who is gonna maybe fill these voids throughout whatever number of movies they do.
Yep.
So on and so on. And what we're also going to do for this episode is we're going to bring on a guest, producer, director, writer, Jordan Foss.
Yep.
Very good friend of mine, hardcore nerd, superhero, DC stan. So
yeah.
this will be a fun one where we're all just going to kind of get into it, cast, and I feel like we're going to end up just talking a lot of DC
Yeah,
superhero shit
absolutely.
in general. So it should be a fun episode of just kind of not casting a specific movie, but we're going to cast all of our dream picks for our superheroes and really get into just talking some DC shop talk. So it'll be fun.
Hell yeah. And this will be
January 31st.
January 31st.
Yeah.
This will be our first guest that we have on
Yeah,
the show
correct.
as well.
Yes, it will. It will
I
be
mean,
our
if
first,
you're not counting
first guest.
Sam as a guest talker at times.
I'm here
correct.
all the time.
Yeah, she's here all the
Whether
time.
I'm
This is
silent or
our
not.
first guest.
Yeah, so
So exciting.
it'll be fun to have someone else on to get their perspective and kind of just add another
Yeah.
person in the mix for this one that's very specific.
Absolutely. And I'm stoked to meet, air quotes, meet Jordan.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be good. We'll meet him. We'll talk with him a little
Yeah.
bit so you guys can kind of get familiar with him, and then he's going to kind of be with us for this episode and kind of chiming in, and then he has his own fan cast of his own. So
Hell yeah.
it'll be
Always
fun.
a fun episode to do.
Until that episode, Sam's going to let you guys know where you can hang out with us at.
Yeah, come to our Facebook page. I would probably say that's where we're the most active. You'll find stuff from our nerd news, our replay watches, some trailers that we'll post, and that's just No Nerds Were Harmed. You can also head over to Twitter. We like to put some stuff on there at NNWH Pod. If you'd like to follow us individually on Twitter, you can find Matty at TheMatman22. Tyler is Gambit the Goon, and myself is SamWise1227. All my gamers, go to Twitch. You will find Tyler as Gambit the Goon as well. Go play along with him, whatever he's doing that week, his current flavor, if you will. If you want to watch any of the videos that we post, we don't do a video for every episode, but Matty does take time to put some super awesome memes and stuff into those takes. Go to No Nerds Were Harmed at youtube.com. If you're already listening to us, thank you so much. Tell your friends about us. They can find us pretty much on any streaming platform. And yeah, that's my birthday wish. Just tell more people about us. If you're going to get me something for my birthday, get us more listeners. All the love.
And that's all we got for you guys. We hope you enjoyed the episode because we enjoyed making it for you. So until next time, stay nerdy. I'm Matty.
I'm Tyler. We'll catch you in the next one.